Hello and welcome to Barca 1, where today we bring you FC Barcelona's final training session before the team take on Getafe at Montjuic in La Liga. The session, of course, today will take place at the Ciutat Esportiva Joan Gamper, and of course under the orders of Hansi Flick and the rest of his coaching staff. We'll also be bringing you the live press conference from the German coach at approximately 1 p.m. local Spanish time here. Well, Barcelona, of course, in search of their 7th straight victory in La Liga as they prepare for this midweek clash. The games are coming thick and fast now. Of course, we've got past the first hurdle of the first international break, and now the team will be taking on Getafe in match week 7. Good to be back home for the side too. They haven't played a home game since the 31st of August when they took on Real Valladolid. A 7-0 victory on that day. Since then, it's been a week of away fixtures coming back from the international break. It's included a win away to Girona, a stumble in the Champions League away to Monaco, and another emphatic victory away to Villarreal that we saw last Sunday. Well, the coaching staff out on the field now. The players are slowly joining them too. You can see already jokes taking place. The atmosphere has been good at Barca so far, and it has been a very impressive start to the season. It's one they'll want to continue in the upcoming fixtures. Lots of absences for Hansi Flick to deal with. We'll go over those in just a moment. There's been no excuses from the German coach. And tomorrow evening at Montjuic, they'll take on a team who will be fierce defensively, who'll set up a block. Barca will have to be creative, they'll have to be proactive in breaking them down. And well, a lot of these players, the ones who haven't been injured, are going to have to put up with not very much rest as they slowly make their way over for the first drills of the day under the orders of their German coach. Well, for Barca so far, it's been a perfect 6 wins out of 6 in La Liga. Started away to Valencia with a 2-1 victory. Then at home to Athletic Club was also 2-1. They made it 3 in a row with another 2-1 win away to Rayo Vallecano, also coming back in that game. Then the 7-0 win at Valladolid we've just mentioned. That was followed up by a 4-1 win away to Girona in the Catalan derby just after the international break. A superb away performance. The away clash to Monaco in the Champions League, you can consider an outlier really, with the red card to Eric Garcia so early on. Barca unable to retain any points in that game, but there's plenty more Champions League fixtures to come. 7 in total in the new league format. And then, of course, the 5-1 away victory that we saw to Villarreal on Sunday. The upcoming games, of course, include tomorrow night's clash against Getafe. Then it's away to Osasuna and Pamplona for Hansi Flick's side. Then it's at home to Young Boys in the Champions League. Barca looking to get their first 3 points on the board in the European competition. And then Alaves away from home, another trip to the north for Barcelona before an international break commences once more. After the international break, it certainly gets interesting as Barcelona have a huge week. They take on Sevilla, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid in that week. So as mentioned, the game's coming thick and fast in this one as Hansi Flick prepares his players for their opening drills of the day. It's a Barca squad as ever. Incredibly young crop of players. Just as the camera pans over there, we can see some of those training. Andres Cuenca is there, Guillén, Toni Fernandez, the cousins are of course there. They were all in the squad to take on Villarreal. Aron Jakobishvili is training also with the first team now, following ter Stegen's injury. You can see Frenkie de Jong there on your screens. He's back and training, taking part in part of the group session. So is Pablo Gavi. Great sight to see for Barca fans, of course, as always. You could see Aron Jakobishvili there. Of course, the likes of Gerard Martin, Sergi Dominguez, who don't have first-team numbers but are very much part of the first team this season. Both of those players started in the win against Villarreal on Sunday. Pau Victor, of course, now a permanent part of the first team. You can see Ansu Fati just walking into shot now too. He, of course, got his first minutes of the season against Monaco in the Champions League on Thursday. He'll be looking to get more, you'd feel, in this one against Getafe too. His first in the league of the season. Didn't come on against Villarreal in that 5-1 victory for Barca. Hector Fort, another one there with a Barça Athletic squad number. Rafinha coming into shot. Well, how good has he been for Barca so far this season? 8 goals and assists for him in all competitions. Now second top scorer in the league with 5 goals. Hat-trick against Valladolid. 2 more goals there in the 5-1 victory against Villarreal. Well, of course, for Barcelona, their season really has been hampered by injuries. So far, as mentioned, Hansi Flick has made absolutely no excuses about it. He trusts these players. He trusts the ones coming up from Barça Athletic. And, well, it's fair to say they've repaid that trust. Of course, the most recent injury for Barca is the one to their captain, Marc-André ter Stegen. Awful scenes on Sunday as we saw him go down there. He has been successfully operated on the patella tendon injury he suffered in his right knee on Sunday. He is expected to be out for the season, but we'll have to wait and see how his recovery goes. Has become the 3rd most capped goalkeeper in Barcelona history, behind Zubizarreta and Victor Valdés. And you can see Iñaki Peña there, well, all attention turns to him. He'll have massive gloves to fill. He really will. Of course, stepped in for several months last season with ter Stegen's absence. Well, he's got some big games coming up as Iñaki Peña. We've been over them there. He will have to take the reins in between the sticks for Barca. Of course, alongside ter Stegen, well, we can say that Frenkie de Jong and Pablo Gavi, they remain out. We're waiting for the medical green light from Frenkie de Jong first, you'd imagine. Both of those players still doing part of the group training. Of course, Marc Bernal, who started this season so well, he's out with an ACL injury. He was successfully operated on a few weeks back after the one he picked up against Rayo Vallecano. Andreas Christensen remains out, as did Ronald Araujo. Fermin Lopez, of course, picked up an injury with the Spain under-21 side, then returned. It looked as though he was going to be back for Barca and then fell down to injury again. Had a very busy summer, of course, Fermin, so not training with the team again. And Ferran Torres, he's not injured, he's training today. He's not eligible for the next game at home to Getafe as he continues to serve the 2nd game of his 3-match suspension. We mentioned there, of course, the youngsters from Barça Athletic training with the first team, of which there are plenty. See Astralaja there and Sergi Dominguez kicking up with the ball. Aron Jakobishvili is there in your shot now too. Almost becomes the 3rd goalkeeper for this side, playing now with Jules Koundé. Well, Koundé again has been such a leader for this team at the back, hasn't he? Absolutely superb start to the season from the French international. It's not missed a beat. And of course, Lamine Yamal, you can see in the corner there, just continues to impress. 9 goals and assists for Lamine Yamal in total already for Barca. Picked up another assist on Sunday, a wonderful Trivela pass with the outside of his left boot all the way to Rafinha to make up the 5th goal. And we can see Iñaki Peña here with De La Fuente, the goalkeeping coach, getting readied to take part in his first exercises of the day. Well, let's take a look at Barca's opponent, Getafe, of course, who they'll be playing tomorrow evening, managed by José Bordalas. He's a coach whose characteristics are to be strong defensively. His teams are always difficult to play against. But Getafe haven't had an easy start. They're low on players. It has been tricky for them. They sit 18th in La Liga currently. It's worth saying their games haven't been free-flowing. They've only conceded 5 goals in their opening 6 games, which for a side who will probably be fighting relegation isn't really a bad return. Problem has been in those opening 6 games, well, they've picked up 4 draws and 2 defeats, no victories quite yet. Scored only 3 goals in the process too, so it hasn't been free-flowing from Getafe, it's fair to say. And they're still in search of their first victory in La Liga. And also, they're in search of their first victory in the league, playing Barcelona away from home. They're yet to win when visiting Barcelona in La Liga. 19 times they've played away to Barca. 15 defeats and 4 draws in the process. So quite something to come over for them. And in the last 6 encounters between these two sides, Barca have won each of the last 6. And of course, that includes the most recent meetings between these two sides too. Barca won 4-0 at Montjuic last season in La Liga. They did draw draw 0-0 away to Getafe, however. Season before, it also ended 0-0 away from home, but Barca did win 1-0 at home. That was, of course, a goal by Pedri in the league-winning season. Well, we saw Iñaki Peña there taking part in some exercises. Now the players themselves are taking part in some more. You can see them in their pairs there. Always a smile on the players' faces this season. Really seem to be enjoying themselves. There's been big commitment from each and every one of these players. Seems to have clicked nicely with Hansi Flick. And of course, all the focus as ever. You can see Flick watching on there, watching on his players. Well, Pedri enjoying himself with Ferran Torres too, as ever. Well, we know about their strong connection, don't we? The recent Next Generation documentary series released on Barça 1 shows that in just a bit more detail, how well these two get on. Just outside of a shot there. Well, how well has Pedri started the season too? Seems to have really found his role under Hansi Flick. Often asked to push forward, score goals, get into the box. And it's fair to say he has been doing that, but he's much more utilised as a controller in midfield. Well, Lamine Yamal continues to shock us all, really, doesn't he, with just how good he is. Seriously special player. Seems to be taking every day as it comes. Alejandro Valde there with him, who got rest on Sunday. Gerard Martin started in his place. Rafinha there with the ball in his hand with Lewandowski. They've also made quite the good connection this season, haven't they? Robert Lewandowski, 8 goals and assists for him. Top scorer in La Liga with 6 goals. And the players, as ever, really enjoying themselves there in front of Hansi Flick's assistants. As mentioned, every training session seems to be filled with this cheer. There's been innovative new drills implemented by Hansi Flick and his staff almost at the start of every session. It's never really the same. Oh, now the players attempting to keep the ball up, and, well, then they take part in their races. Íñigo Martínez there too. How good has he been for Barca at the start of the season? He's really marshalled the heart of defence, hasn't he? He's become a leader in that back line, an incredibly young back line. Spoke about that after the Villarreal game, did Íñigo Martínez to our microphones, and, well, how it's a joy to see a team so young playing in this way. And he's happy to help them in whatever way possible. Well, Pablo Gavi we saw there. Really is good to see him back with a smile on his face. Good to see him back on the field. Well, likewise, Frenkie de Jong, who we also expect to be a big player under Hansi Flick. You'd certainly expect so in the new system too. Does feel like he could slot in nicely. Hasn't played, of course, since the Clásico on the 21st of April, Frenkie de Jong. Ankle injury he picked up. It's fair to say he's struggled to recover from that, but now back in training, and that is a fine sight for all Barca fans' eyes. We're still awaiting the medical green light for the Dutch international. Well, we have the medical green light for Ansu Fati, who, as mentioned, got his first minutes of the season against Monaco. Only a few towards the end of the game. Barca were down to 10 men at that point. Hansi Flick has spoken highly of Ansu Fati in press conferences. Of course, the press conference today will bring you on Barça 1-2. Stay tuned for that later. As Barca looking, of course, in match week 7 for their 7th consecutive victory. Been a fantastic start. They currently sit 4 points at the top of La Liga, clear of Real Madrid, who also, after slipping up in early match weeks, are now attempting to come back stronger. It's one of those that you think will be a fascinating season in La Liga. This Barca side looks so hungry. They've been really, really intense right from kickoff in this La Liga season. But Getafe will be certainly a different test for Barca. They'll have to break down a really disciplined block. We'll have a lot of possession of the ball, Barca. They'll try and have to keep up that free-flowing, intense football. It's a style of football that's created an awful lot of chances in every single game. That will have to be the case, of course, back home for the first time in nearly a month since the 31st of August when they beat Valladolid tomorrow night. Well, we're going to slowly wrap things up then for today's training session, the final one before the game against Getafe in La Liga, as Barca look for their 7th consecutive victory to start this domestic campaign, as Hansi Flick's players now take part in a few rondos That's what we'll leave it, though. Thank you all for tuning in to this live stream here on Barça One. We'll see you shortly for the press conference. Goodbye.
Just